lots of lube. Oh, look at it. Dripping all over. Oh, yeah. So much lube. Alright, so right now I'm going through the process of degreeing everything. It's a step-by-step process. It is definitely going to take patience and beer if you drink beer. I don't drink beer, but I've got the dial zeroed. Right now what I'm trying to find is the exhaust center line for the driver side cam. So I've got the center line here soon. I checked at 118. So what I'm doing at this point is I've got the gauge zeroed, and so we're at 0 or max lift. I've calibrated it so that I know where max lift is at. And now what I want to do is continue to turn over until I hit 100 again. So we're going to go counterclockwise to 100 thousandths. And I'm getting close. There it is, 100 thousandths. Now what I want to do is go clockwise until I find 50 thousandths. Once we get that 50 thousandths, we're getting close. Bam. Slight overshoot. I can correct for that without a problem. Just come back the opposite way. Bam. 50,000 spot on. What number did I get down here where my pointer is calibrated at? Looks like 60, 59, 58, 57. So we're at about 57. And that pointer is solid. That pointer is not going to move around. So we're at 57. Now what I want to continue to do is go around, continue clockwise. It should see a fall. And when I come around, we should go back up again. And bypassed it a little bit again. Let's come back. She's fighting today. 50 thousandths. And that put me at about 79.5. So that's a 79.5 on everything. So what I do is I take that 156 and that 79.5 and add them together. And that's showing that my exhaust center line over here is about 117.5, 118. That's still accurate. So what I have to do at that point is go ahead and look at the cam card. The cam card is calling for 113 on all of these. We may respec that to have a different center line. So at that point, I would have to get here, and you've got retard and advance. Since we're at 118, I'll have to advance the cam because it's behind. So that's about 4 to 5 degrees of advance I'll need to incorporate in order to get the lobe center correct as compared to the crank. Lobe center, from what I know and I'm trying to study and understand, lobe center is the relation of the cam's position to the crankshaft, and a lobe separation angle on a 4-valve is the relation between the exhaust and intake cam between each other. So we have to find the lobe centers of each cam, both exhaust and intake and exhaust, and that will establish the lobe separation angle. And then I can also start out by degreeing the exhaust side of the cams and then get the intake side together. It's definitely a process, and it takes a lot of practice. At this point, I'm just practice, and getting everything in position, understanding it, and then we go from there. Oh my God. Look at it. It's the only red piece on the engine. There's a lot of pieces on the engine, and they're all silver and black. But it's red. You know what that means. That means it's going to be fast. The more red parts you have on your engine, the faster that son of a bitch is going to be. And I've got one red part. So I don't know if that means it's going to be fast or slow. Either way, timing's done. We're working on some windage tray modifications. Of course, because that pickup tube doesn't work with it, so I got to get to hacking and whacking and cut some stuff up. And then we'll go on to the next step, retorque it in, and this baby will be ready to go inside of a vehicle, pending all the covers and all the fancy stuff on the outside. Well, we finally finished the degreeing process. Everything looks within specifications. I've got a spec sheet out. Right now, I'm just taking the hardware off, make the engine clean because she's in a dirty state, get everything undressed. Next step, of course, is to start assembling the rest of the valve train. We've got these lash adjusters, and next up, we'll be checking out the just how everything fits in, make sure we don't have any piston to valve contact on either side, which everything shows good. That should not be an issue on this engine. We're just going to go through some verifications, but hey, we're making progress. One step at a time. One step at a time. As I move towards the final steps of the Boss 302 engine, the last thing I've done here is a modification of the GT500 oil pan gasket slash windage tray. The only benefit you really have here, of course, is that for any of the 4.6 motors, you get this windage tray, and it does work. It is a little distant from the crankshaft, and there is the option of using the 3-valve windage tray, but it would require the main bolts to be longer. Of course, since these are already done, I'm not going to change out the main bolts to use the 3-valve pan. There's just no point. Of course, I've got everything lined up. I had to make this fly cut right here in this area so that the pickup tube from the oil pump to the oil pump tube support would actually come together. Once I've looked in here, of course, everything on the engine looks great. I don't have any other issues. I've rotated the engine several times. Like I said before, no PTV or piston to valve contact. But as you see, these are short bolt mains. I mean, it's there. The 3-valve has its own bolts that you would actually use for that windage tray, and we're not using that here. Of course, that windage tray possibly would work a little bit better than this one would, but at the end of the day, it's a windage tray where there was none before, and I haven't seen any evidence or particular test that would make the difference significant enough to swap in the middle of the build or this far along in the build. I've got this, once I've gotten this fly cut correctly, and I do one more test fit just to be sure I've got the perfect clearance. It's bolt up the oil pickup tube and send it. As I make bounds day by day, we're finally prepping the covers. The powder coating place is 2 miles away from the house. We're going to get it all nice, wrinkled black. And I'll also have a placard for the valve covers as well, official SVT. Hopefully I can get another one. Those are kind of hard to come by, but we're just going to wash off the covers and that. Everything's clean and ready for him to service. And then we'll be able to get it powder coated and put those on the engine.